Good day, welcome, and thank you for joining us on Spotlight Sportcast, where the world of sports meets the power of storytelling. My beautiful guest for today is Pip Selhi, who is a personal trainer, Pilates instructor, and a nutritionist. Pip, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having
How
me.
lovely you're looking.
Thank you. Thank you. It's amazing to be here with you. So thank you.
So, Pip, where did it all fall together? You know, I was going through your bio and reading some stuff, some very emotional stuff. And yeah.
My story or my journey began 7 years ago.
Okay.
I've always been into fitness. I've always had a passion for it. And I have 2 children. They're very much into their sport. I have a son who's a top athlete in the UK.
Wow.
He was top for the county.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been I'd say we're a very sporty family.
Yeah.
Now with me, my journey, like I said, my journey began 7 years ago. I decided to just go and do my nutrition course because I was very interested in the eating habits and always would hear people speaking about how they're not able to lose weight, they're eating low-fat foods, they're not eating breakfast. And I was like, this is so interesting.
Yeah.
With me, personally, I was not a healthy eater at all.
Okay.
Never. How I've transformed, it's just crazy, to be honest with you. So with me, I did the course, came back, and I thought, this is something that's going to really help people. Now, with the course, I started to talk to people about it, and they were like, this makes a lot of sense. And I obviously put it into my own practice as well for me to see. I'm very much a person that I don't want to try to sell things to people if I haven't tried it myself.
Yeah.
So I would never do that. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I know people do that out there. Of course I do. But I was like, I cannot do that. That's just not me. I'm a very honest person. So I'd like to try it myself. So I went and tried it, and I was like, yeah, you do see results. And I think coming with the nutrition side, I decided to go and do my level 2 and level 3 personal training. Now, absolutely love training, so I don't know why I didn't do it, but it fell hand in hand because you've got the nutrition, you've got the training to help people. So I set the business up 7 years ago. And with that, there were life changes. I'm not going to bore you with it, but I will say my life changed completely overnight. Without kind of, you know, like I said, I do not want to bore you, but yes, life had changed. I was married for 20 years. So it was a bit of a shock to the system.
Yeah.
So, but do you know, for me, I have 2 children, a son and my daughter, and with them and their support and my mum's support, I'm here today.
Wow.
It's down to them. The support they've given me, it's just been immense. Excuse me if I do well up. I'm going to try not to.
It's fine.
We sat there and we thought about different names for the business. For me, I think people around me were very much like, what are you going to do now? You've got your qualifications. The norm is to go and work in a gym. I think I've always been very different. I've always kind of done my own thing. So I was like, no, actually, I'm going to go and set up my own business. And they were like, do you even have any ideas? And I was like, no, but I'm going to learn.
Yes.
It's never too late to learn. So did a lot of reading, had some help, some advice along the way. So I was like, okay, don't get me wrong. Behind the scenes, I was nervous. I was so scared. I was like, you know, what am I doing? Is this the right thing to do? Should I just be working a 9-to-5 job? But I did it with my son and my daughter's support. We sat and we brainstormed a name. We thought of so many names, and I believe it was my son. If I think back, it was both of them, my son and my daughter. They said, what are you doing this for? Who are you doing this for? And I was like, for all of us. And I recently lost my father 5 years prior to that. So we thought of the name, or the children thought of the name SKS Fitness. And that's my late father's initials. So this is for him. So, I have all my, my gym attire has my initials on. So it kind of reminds me every day that what I'm doing this for, don't give up. This is your dad's name. You've got to carry this forward. He was always very proud of me. Aww. And even though he's not here, he is here. He's always with me.
He's always with you.
Always. So, so for that, every day, moving to Dubai was a very big thing for me.
I'm sure.
It was a very big thing.
It's a big thing for all of us, but yeah.
Yeah. And everybody, my business, it's set up in the UK. I'm running classes. I'm life coaching as well. And everyone's like, she's crazy. What is she doing? She's got the business set up. She's got a relaxed life here. Why does she want to do this?
Yeah.
Again, I'm very different. I like to challenge myself. So this is probably one of the biggest challenges yet to move across the world.
No, look, it definitely is. And I hear you when you talk about, we'll come back to your dad just now, but I hear you when you talk about how you need to constantly challenge yourself, because
100%.
I think at times you sit there and you're like, I'm good at what I do, but am I? Am I really good at what I do? How do I compare myself? And who are my peers? And the world has become so much smaller.
Yes,
so
100%.
your peers are not just people who live down the road from you or who have businesses next to you. Your peers are around the world. And how then do you compete, or how do you compare against your peers in order for you to up your level?
So for this, I'm going to be very, very honest with you. Social media is a very big thing, as we know. It's very big, and there's so many people out there doing the sports, doing the gym, everything.
Yes.
For me, I don't compare myself to anybody. I compare myself to me.
Yes.
I look at myself every day. I'm like, what can you do better?
Yes.
There is no point in me looking at somebody who has been in the business 30 plus years, who knows everything.
Yeah.
Probably not everything, because people say, you know so much, you know everything. And I'm like, no, I don't. I probably know a fraction of the fitness world,
Yeah.
But I know what I know I can give to people. And I think with that, I get very connected with my clients, whether it's through PT, nutrition, or life coaching.
Yes.
So with the life coaching, that came much later for me, during COVID times, actually, because everything changed. We couldn't see people face to face. And I was very nervous to run classes, run PT sessions online. I don't even like speaking on an answer machine. And to see myself, and everybody said, this is the way forward. Otherwise your business will not be around. And you work so hard.
Yes.
Your dad. And I was like, yes. So I built up the courage, and I got online, and I really enjoyed it. A few times I turned the camera off. I didn't want to see myself. But the fact, everyone was like, this is amazing. We can do this from home. You can carry on with helping us. So that really helped. And it was a client of mine, actually, that pointed something out, and it made me think. She's like, mentally, she's like, when you're with me, whether you're online or face-to-face, I'm there. I'm so like, I understand what you're saying to me. But when you're not there, it's like I almost need you 24/7. And I was like, there's no trainer that's going to be with you 24/7, unfortunately.
No.
I probably said that to my coach, and I was like, can you just live with me? And then he was like, no, I'm not doing that. I was like, right. He's like, discipline. It's all about discipline. And I think over the years, I've learned how to be disciplined in myself, in my own training. And with everything that went on, when this client said a few things, I thought, where does this start? People wake up one day, say, oh, I want to trim down, I want to bulk up. There's something there that, to change the mindset, because we all have done it. We've probably done the diets for like a week, 2 weeks, and then we've just fallen off the wagon.
Yeah.
I've done it plenty of times, and I'm like, this doesn't work. Of course it doesn't work. It's fast things will not happen overnight. It's a gradual process. And this has probably been drummed into me by my coach. And my coach, I want to say, he's absolutely amazing. He's in the UK, and without him, I probably wouldn't have learned what I've learned now. I know so much, what he's taught me, and he still teaches me. If I'm kind of like, I'm not sure about something, I will speak to him. Absolutely amazing. So he's really helped me. So with this, I decided to do a life coaching course, a well-being coaching course. And I thought this is probably the first step for any client. Now, for me, it wasn't about, of course, we're in this industry to make money, but it sounds very crazy. And I think a lot of my clients would say that. The first thing I would say to them is, okay, tell me your goals. Where do you want to get to? You know, how long do you want to take? Are we working towards a certain time period? Or is it, you know, they would come back to me, this is what I want to do. And I was like, okay. But for me, the next thing I would say to them is, right, are you going to work with me? They're like, well, you're going to tell me what to do. I'm like, no. We're in a relationship here. It's a working partnership relationship.
Yeah.
If we can't work together, there's no point. I don't want you to waste your time. I do not want you to waste your money. And I was like, if that's the case, if you think after 2 weeks you're going to be like, actually, I'm like, please don't. I do not want you as a client. And I think that threw people, many of my clients got thrown. They were like, that's not normal. And I'm like, for me, I want to see you happy, walk away from me, if that's the case, with results. And touch wood, every client is still with me, which is fantastic.
It's amazing, yeah.
So for me, I think my approach is very much like, if you are serious, we are going to see the results together. I can't get the results for you.
Yeah.
So it's up to you. I would say, please go away, think about it, then come back to me. And if it's not for you, absolutely fine. And everybody was like, no, we want to come to you. So with my clients, I did life coaching first. I just wanted to see where their thinking was at. And some of them still have life coaching, well-being coaching, just with their mindset to help them. But the nutrition is really great for them. They understand food better, food choices. And very much like, I think people have this thing in their minds that you can't go out to eat, you can't enjoy, you can't relax. And this is what my social media shows, very much the opposite. I do go out, I do eat out. I don't just live on salads 24/7. So for me, I'm trying to explain and show people that you can have a balance. And I think this is where people struggle. And this is me just trying to introduce it. Trust me. And they're like, yes, but, you know, look at you. And I'm like, I've had 2 children. Do you think I always look like this? You know, it's hard work. Don't get me wrong. It's very much hard work. But, you know, if you're determined, you're disciplined, you can do it. So
discipline being the key word.
Discipline, 100%. I mean, I will go out. Sometimes I will go out in the weekday. But it's discipline of what my food choices are. And they're like, how can you sit there in a lovely restaurant and this food is being put in front of you? I'm like, it's discipline. It's discipline, because I know how hard I'm working behind the scenes for myself. It's not easy. No. Anybody who's an athlete is in sports. They are trying to reach certain goals. It's not easy. You have to give in order to gain something. It's the way. But don't get me wrong, I live my life. I live a very, you know, fun life. Social life is amazing. But I'm disciplined. That has got to be the word for me.
Disciplined. You know, there's so many different diets out there. And obviously, you know, with social media and everything else, people are so tempted because it's like, okay, get this medication or get this. And if you eat this every day, you're going to lose like 5 kilos or whatever it is. Like, you know, what advice would you give people? I mean, look, I know you spoke about discipline and stuff like that, but what advice would you give, especially young adolescent girls or girls in their 20s, you know, who are so body conscious and want quick fixes?
Don't do it. Honestly, don't do it. For me, like you say, there is the younger girls and even just women in general. Like I say, social media, there's a lot on social media, so it really makes you doubt yourself. Don't get me wrong, I sometimes look at myself and think, this isn't right, what's going on? And I have people around me saying, like, look at you, you're going a little bit crazy. But maybe that, for me, that is probably coming from being a trainer. And I think for me, I would like to look my best because I can see the results. And then I can put it to my clients like, okay, what physique are we going for? Are we trying to trim down? Are we got a wedding, or are we trying to bulk up, muscle up?
Yes.
But any diet, any kind of medication, I would stay away. I mean, I have had clients, oh, I'm doing this diet, I'm doing Atkins, I'm doing keto. I'm like, why? Do you realize the long-term effects it's going to have on your body? I've done keto myself, so I can talk about it.
Yeah.
Amazing results, abs all popping out, fantastic. But then when I introduced carbs back into my diet, my body was like, what are you doing to me? So and this is what I try to explain to people.
Yeah.
Please don't go on fad diets because you can't sustain it long term. If that's something we could do, then we wouldn't be having personal trainers, nutritionists. And also, there are companies out there do the healthy meal plans now. If you haven't got time to cook, you've just got to make sure your food is consistent and you're disciplined with your training. It kind of swings in roundabouts. And I think once people understand the concept, they're like, oh my goodness, it's so simple. But people, I think, in this day and age just want quick fixes, unfortunately.
Yes.
So,
which is very damaging.
Of course, 100%. And I had one particular client, she wanted to carry on with keto back in the UK. And I was like, this is not helping with the training, the intensity, where we're going with this. It's not helping. You do need to put carbs into your body. No, I'm fine. And I was like, please just take a break and listen to me. And, we had some life coaching sessions as well. She went away, went on holiday. She relaxed on holiday. And she was like, I can't believe I kind of cut food out. And I was like, this is what I'm trying to say. She did come back from a little heavier, but nothing that you kind of say, oh my goodness. And she was like, I thought I would have been much heavier with the food I was eating. I was like, no. And when you're just starving your body of certain nutrients, which the body needs every nutrient possible, but in small quantities, not in large quantities. We need sugar, we need the salt, we need the carbs, we need the fats, the good fats, and we do need some of the bad fats as well. And protein obviously being the highest, we all need protein in our body. So it's, I could talk forever and ever about nutrition. I think you'll be like, okay.
No, but it's actually good lessons.
100%.
Because a lot of the times we look at our bodies and we want quick fixes. As you say, I've got a wedding to go to, I've got this to go to, I've got that to go to, so I've got to look like this. And then what happens after that?
So that's when this happens, when the quick fixes, you've done the quick fixes, you're going to put the weight back on and more. And this is the problem. Like I say, I'm just going to talk about one particular client who did the diet and she stopped it and she put weight back on and more. And she was like, Pip, look at me. And I was like, I did tell you, that this isn't going to work. You cannot sustain this long term. For example, it's the same as when we get up on stage. Now, I have not got up on stage yet. It's something on my bucket list to do. I'm aiming for the next 2 years. So my coach will be very pleased to hear that.
Wow.
So again, being around my coach and understanding the clients that are getting up on stage, I understand how much hard grit work is put behind it. And I'm like, am I ready? Am I ready? Times when I think, no, I'm not ready for this. And I'm like, okay, I'm not ready. I'm not going to pressure on myself to do this. It will happen. If I've got to this stage, it's going to happen. I've got 2 years and I will be there. I know.
No, you'll definitely be there.
100%. I'm not. It's a challenge, right? It's on my bucket list. It's got to be done. So for me, with the quick fixes of diets, this is what I explain. Please don't go for these diets because they're not going to work. What are you going to do when you pile on more weight and then you're not back to square one? You're much worse than square one. And this upsets people. It's a vicious circle because they're not happy. Then they'll start to eat the wrong foods and they put on more weight. And this is why the life coaching really helped a lot of my clients. And I'm so grateful that it came to me as well, that this is something that could help. It may not. I didn't think it would be such a bigger part of my business, but it is. And it's even some clients that are not training with me, just the nutrition and the Pilates and the life coaching. for me, it's really refreshing, and I feel so fulfilled. I kind of smile and I'm like, I'm really helping somebody, and that's my aim. I want to just make people happy and give them all the information I possibly can, whether I spend an hour with them, whether I spend 3 hours a week with them. I don't like to hold back information. If I can educate people whilst being with them, then I'm doing my job, how I see it.
Yeah, there's one of the sayings about, like, if you want to start a business, find a solution to solve.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't go and say, yes, the end goal is to make money at the end of the day, but what problem am I solving?
Exactly. For me, it's like I say, everyone is here to make money. The business is to make money. But for me, it was I'm more passionate about helping people. In my early days, I wasn't charging clients because for me, it was a case of I want to see if I am able to fulfill my role as a trainer.
Yeah.
And people are like, are you crazy? You're not charging. I said, I would like to do 2-3 sessions. I want people to see, my clients see, are they happy with me? I do not want people I wouldn't want to pay and not be happy. Previously, in my years, I did have a trainer. I had several trainers. And my God, I still speak to them and I'm like, how did you get away with doing X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, because you're shocking. And they laugh now. They're like, because you've become a trainer, you're so engrossed in it. You're very passionate. They said, when we started in this business, it was a case, it's a job. And I said, right. And I think what I took away from that was when they said that it was a job for them, whereas this is not a job. This is my business. This is my dad's business. And I think for me, that's where I'm very passionate about it. To me, if I don't, if I'm not making enough money, it doesn't matter. It's if I can educate one person and make their life better, I feel like I'm rich. That is how I am.
Look, your dad obviously had a major impact. I think you were daddy's little girl.
I was. I still am, even though he's always watching over me.
He's always, no, definitely.
Yeah.
And how did that impact you? Because look, yes, fathers are nurturers and it's their job, but not everybody has that luxury.
Yes. With my dad had a very big impact on my life growing up. One, I will say I'm an only child.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm an only child, hence the name Princess Pip, as that's where it's from. And it's grown with me even till now. And what my dad taught me from very early on when I was a young girl, that, your job is not to please people. It's you've got to please yourself. Make sure you're happy. If you're happy, you will be able to give yourself to people what you're wanting to provide for them. From a very young age. And I never kind of understood that. And being Asian, so it was, speaking in Indian, I was like, I don't quite understand. But then growing up as I was in my teenage years, and I grew up and I got married, it started to make sense. And so with what he used to say to me, and one thing he always used to say to me is that whatever you do it with passion. Otherwise, don't do it, because you're not going to get anywhere in that way. Whether you go and work for somebody, whether you ever decide to open your own business, whatever, if you decide to have children, if you get married, and it's like always do everything with a passion and 100% with your heart, and everything will work in your favor. With this, I am very spiritual as well. Yeah. So was my dad. He was very spiritual, and he had a massive impact on my life and my children's, and, the children we talk about him, like, if he was here today, he would be so proud that his daughter is just up sticks and moved to Dubai. She's off again. She's doing something different. Yeah. And, my mum was a little bit shocked when I announced I'm leaving. But she was happy for me. She's like, I want you to be happy at the end of the day. You have one life. Go and do what you want to do. I said, I'm taking SKS Fitness to Dubai. That is my goal. I'm taking Dad's name there. And she was upset. She's like, I'm so proud of you. So with this, I've come here and I just want to kind of provide the service and with all my passion and help people here. Not everybody will maybe get me. They may be a little bit, I'm not sure about her, you know, but I know what I'm about and I know what I can give to people. And if I can help people, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, I think, that's the important thing is you're not everybody's cup of tea.
Of course.
And not everybody's going to agree with you, but you understand it, you believe it, and you know why you are doing this.
100%.
And that's what matters, because a lot of the times, especially when you start a business, yes, businesses pivot all the time. Like, you start with one thing and then you pivot into another direction because this is not that kind of idea that I had. But at the same time, you know what you want to do.
Yes.
You know what the end goal is at the end of the day. And that's so important because a lot of people then give up or they walk away or they change completely.
100%. I'm not one of those people. I don't give up. If I have put my mind to something, I will fight and I will get there. It doesn't matter how long it will take. I think the saying is, if you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl.
Yeah.
This is
That's
how
you.
I am. Yeah, this is me. It doesn't matter if it would take me 5 years to get somewhere.
Yes.
I will do it. For me, it's what my dad instilled in me, what my mum says, and also having two amazing children. I'm trying to teach them both that life is going to be tough. Life will have its ups and downs as they've seen it in my life. But why are you going to give up? Life is beautiful. There's a reason why things happen. It makes you stronger. It's life lessons. Get up and fight. What you want, go for it. It's there. It's in your reach. You've just got to be able to have it in you and your mindset. You've got to be positive all the time. This is how I am. And I think my children are like, yes, okay, we get it. And I'm like, don't give up, and I'm proud of my children. Both my children are doing so well. And everybody's, people that know my story from the past 7 years are like, you're so inspiring. You should write a book. And
you
I went,
should, actually. And then I asked, do you have a book? Like,
Not yet. You never know. People, even here, people have said, have you thought about it? And I said, I have, but I think at the moment, the time isn't quite right. It will come.
Everything in good time.
Yes.
Everything
Divine
has its time.
timing. Yeah. So at the moment, it's there, but it's not the right time.
I love that. Divine timing. True. Definitely divine timing. But I mean, I also believe that sometimes we hold back with people, or we make excuses for people when we know that they shouldn't be in our lives anymore.
100%.
And you get this rude awakening, and it's just God's way of saying.
I very much believe in that. And I think things happen for a reason. Even certain signs come to you and it leads you to something that could drastically change your life. And when I look back, my past 7 years, how things have unfolded in front of my eyes, how things have come to me. And I never used to kind of think so deeply, if I'm honest. And I think that's where the spirituality came along as well for me. And now I'm very in tune to it. And it's amazing, like speaking to so many people, even in Dubai, especially men, which I know before men would be like, no, what are you talking about? But lately I've come across many men in particular that are very spiritual. And I'm like, this is so good it's so refreshing.
It is,
To actually not to be told that, oh no, this is rubbish. And to be like, actually have a good conversation about, the alignment, divine time. It's so refreshing. And I feel that everybody is kind of starting to listen to their inner selves. I really feel that.
Definitely. I think for the longest time you fight it. And then certain things happen and you're like, but why am I fighting this? Why don't I just allow the process to go ahead?
It's amazing. It really is. It's just, I think some people that have no idea or do not want to recognize it, they kind of look at me and say, okay, they say it's science. And I'm like, no, it's not science. Just listen to your inner self. And, not everyone is going to be ready. Some people will kind of think, what is she talking about?
Yeah.
And when I explain certain things, that have unfolded or things that have stopped me in my tracks, and they're like, how did you know? I'm like, it's just something inside saying no. And it's amazing. And I'm just so passionate about everything that I do. I love what I do.
I can feel it in your energy, in everything. What did it take for you to, I'm looking at your fitness gear, starting your own brand?
Wow. It's, for me, like, starting a business, you have a long-term goal, you have a vision board. For me, I didn't think I was going to be in Dubai. It was never on the cards. It was very much like, I'm in the UK, I'm settled, I know my surroundings, I've qualified, and what do I want to do? I worked from home with clients. I worked in my garden, I worked in my spare room. And I was like, one day I remember sitting there and I thought, this has got to become something one day. I want to run classes. I want to have a gym. This is where it kind of came to my mind. And I thought, I need to be making so much money to open a gym. And I actually started to look at premises, even though I'd only been into the business 1 year. And people were like, just hold off. Some people were negative, hold off.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course. Sometimes it's your closest ones, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yes. And some were like, you've got to look at everything, look at your overheads. And not knowing anything about business, I was like, overheads, what are they? And they were like, right, we need to sit down and really talk about everything. And, a really good friend of mine, he runs many businesses, he explained everything to me. And I was like, right, okay. So I've just looked at this premises. And he was like, no. Are you going to wait for clients to come in? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, what if you don't have those clients in the first month, second month?
Yeah.
You're paying all that. And for me, I am very much about results. And I think in the beginning it was about results. I need to see quick turnover. I need to have the clients. But then as the years went on, I was like, no, hold on. And I think when the life coaching started, it was like, stop. Everything takes time.
Yeah.
Even with my own branding, even though we had the name, we'd registered with Companies House in the UK, we were tax rated, limited company. It was very much about, right, well, where do we start? Let's start with smaller things. Let's get our branding on, on the clothes, on the attire. And this is where it started. I thought, one step at a time. And some of my equipment had SKS Fitness. And then the dream came of, okay, when I do eventually open my gym, it will all be SKS Fitness logo.
Yes.
And this is where I was getting to, and business was going well, and I'd start to look at premises. Of course, I was running classes. Pilates was a massive hit in the UK. And my clients ranged, my youngest client was 17 and my oldest client was 76 in my class. And people are like, how do you juggle this age to that age?
Yeah.
And to be honest, I was like, I'm very much in sync with everybody. I know if they have any health problems, I am next to them. Right, you are not doing this. And I think this is why my classes were very successful in the UK. They knew, my classes would have maximum 18 people. Now, having a class, I've been in a class myself, you do have an instructor at the front, do this, do that, that's it.
Yeah.
I was very much up and down the hall. I was like, X, Y, Z, you're not to do that. I'm coming to you. You can't do that. You need to do this. And they were like, how do you, because I knew them very well. I knew, and for me, that challenge in itself, they're like, how can you remember everybody? And I'm like, if I can't remember, I'm not doing my job properly. And I guess it comes with being so passionate about it. If you're not passionate about something, you're not going to give it.
It's just a job then.
Yeah. And for me, it's not a job. It was my family. And when I was leaving, when I announced that I'm stopping the classes, And I gave them like 3 weeks notice. I said, this will be final one at Christmas. They were like, why? We're just taking a break. You're going on holiday? Because I traveled a lot as well last few years. And I was like, I'm leaving for good. And it was very emotional. And I didn't realise it was such an impact on everybody's life, and the cards and the gifts. And I was like, for me, I think I now look back and I think I didn't realise I'd made such an impact, but I clearly had. And, you know, I get messages, how are you? You know, you're coming back. If you come back for a while, are you going to run classes? I am due to go back to the UK, and I have said that I will be running a few classes, not many, but I will come back and do some. But I'm just very passionate about what I do. And I think if you've got that inside you, you will make a success of anything, but you've got to have it inside you and not give up.
You've definitely, you hit the nail on the head there. You've definitely got to have it in you. And just going a little bit back to when, you know, you're talking about how you didn't realize what impact you're making. It's because you so used to just, this is my passion, this is what I do. And at times you forget how it impacts other people's lives positively. And also I think at the same time for you, it's like, but this is my passion. So, you know, I love what I do, and I'm going to keep doing this, and that's it. But at times I think we forget to sit back and say, I actually did a good job there.
I think I'm very critical of myself because I'm like, I could do this. So for me, I think my parents, they always taught me to be giving. You know, it being an only child, don't get me wrong, I have been spoiled, but I've been brought up with manners, respect, but also give. If you can give something, give. If you can help somebody, do it. And I'm so grateful to my mum and my dad to bring me up in this way, because, you know, you're an only child, you just don't have respect, you just think it's all about you. And I'm so grateful for the way they've brought me up. They've given me everything I possibly could have wanted in life. And then my children, who are both stand by my side, and they're like, you've got this, Mum, you know, don't get me wrong. You know, I do have like days where I'm like, oh, okay, I need to change something here. Should I be doing, you know, my son, who is actually in Dubai himself as well, he's like, you carry on. What's happened? And I'm like, nothing. Sometimes you just need someone to say, what's going on? Have you don't want to do this? And I'm like, of course I do, you know. And he will say to me, or he will bring my top or something out, he'll be like, SKS Fitness, or he'll point at, you know, my dad or the logo, and he's like, are we forgetting? And I'm like, no. And he's like, right, good, carry on.
But it's natural, it's human, where you sit back and you're like, what am I doing?
I know. I think people, when I left the UK, they're like, are you going to go and get a job? And I was like, don't get me wrong. I'm going to be a very tiny little fish in a very big sea when I go to Dubai. It's going to take me time to build the business. And it is. I've been here just over 7 months.
Okay.
It's taken time, but the clients are coming very slowly, and I'm happy. I'd rather have to get to know my clients, whether it's life coaching, Pilates, nutrition, or everything, you know, the training side. But for me, I'm like, think back to 7 years when I qualified, had my certificates in my hand. They're like, off you go and practice. And I was like, okay, where do I find clients? And they were like, right, we can help you. And I was like, just give me some ideas. They're like, you can go into gyms. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then I, you know, did the designing of the logo. And with SKS Fitness, it's also got the god Ganesh in there. A lot of people can't see it, but if you look carefully, Ganesh is probably who also helped me through my hard time. And I have actually got Ganesh tattooed on my back because I always feel he's got my back as well as my dad. And sometimes when I do feel a little bit like, oh, what am I doing? Is this what I should be doing, or should I be doing something else to make life easier? I'm like, no, keep going, challenge. Come on, next challenge.
Look, I mean, It does. I'm fairly new to Dubai as well, just under a year, just over a year, just under. But I mean, I travel between here and South Africa and stuff,
Amazing.
and you do go through that, like like what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? Should I just like But it's normal. It's human, and you're in a totally new environment.
Yes. Yeah. And loving it. Getting out there and being positive with it.
Yes, because again, it goes back to the belief.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
It definitely goes back to the belief that I got this, and I'm not alone on this journey, and I can do this. 100%. But it's also, how do I challenge myself to be better than I was yesterday?
That's it. And for me, it's very much challenges. If I can't challenge myself, I have to, like I said, I keep bringing them up, the children.
Yeah.
My son is 22, my daughter is 20. She's back in the UK studying law,
Wow.
and she's amazing. She's doing so well. And my son is here. He's absolutely amazing. And he's my rock, he's here. And he's like, you've got this, And for me, it's like, I've got to keep going. I've got to keep challenging myself. I may fall down at some point, but I've got to get back up.
Yeah.
Because I have two human beings right next to me watching me.
Yes.
And if I am going to give up, what am I teaching them? And this is the same kind of aspect I have for my clients. Like, if I kind of sit back and say, yeah, okay, don't worry about training, just relax for a week or two. What am I teaching them? You've got to keep challenging yourself, because you will see the results. You will see how far you've come, the progression.
Yeah.
And I think this is where my mindset is now. It's very much like, challenge yourself. There's things on my bucket list that scare me so much to do. And I'm like, I've got to do them. I mean, I want to jump out of a plane. I wanted to.
You and me both.
I wanted to do it, I think, 2 years ago. And it was when I came to Dubai for a holiday.
Yeah.
And my son was like, you're not doing it. And I was like, no, I'm ready. And he's like, no, you do realise you have to sign a disclaimer. I was like, okay. And then I think he was like, I am going to call Nanny. And I was like, I'm a grown-up. And he was like, you're not doing it.
Yeah.
But it's, now when I think about it, it scares me. I'm like, I've got to do it. There's things on my, in my mind that I'm like, I've got to overcome them. It's a challenge. I've done the Tough Mudder back in the UK. I kind of had read about it, trained, went for it. And I was like, I've done it. I've got the T-shirt. I'm not doing it again. I've done it. To think that I was crazy with, but I've done it.
But look, for me, I find that when you challenge yourself that way and you do something that you fear it, or something that scares you, not you fear, something that scares you, you kind of move yourself to the next level, because you realize that, but I could overcome this, and I could do it, and that's just one of the most amazing things. And the other day I was actually listening to something, I think it was on TikTok or something, where the person said, everything that you want is on the other side of fear.
Yes.
And
100%.
I just kept listening to that, and it's so true. Everything you want is on the other side of fear.
Yes.
But fear holds you back, because you're like, okay, what if I don't make a success of it? What if I don't do this? What if, don't get me wrong, the passion is there. It's full on, it's there. You know you can do it. But there's that 10% in you, or that 2% in you that's like,
it's that they say the left and the right side. You've got somebody in you saying, no, you can't do this. No, what if? And this side saying, you've got this. You can. And I think for me, my right side will always power
over the left.
Over the left side. And, and I sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, I've got this. What's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to fail. I have to try again. I have to find a different route to get to this.
Yes.
So this is life. We all hold back. We hold back. For example, people hold back in investing, moving, buying a car, or should I buy that house? Is it too much? But do it. What's the worst that's going to happen? Nothing's going to happen. You're only going to better yourself. You're going to progress. you want to go for another job, a passion, something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
You may be passionate about cars, but you're working in, I don't know, a bank, it's very different.
Yes.
But the person in the bank is saying, I don't think I can get a job in a car showroom. Why can't you? If you don't try, you're not going to know.
You're not going to know. Yeah, you're definitely not
So for
going
me,
to know.
it's very much like you've got to, yes, we all have fears, but you've got to just get past them. You can. It's the mindset. It's very much your mind. You have to practice your mindset. You have to just spend 10 minutes, 20 minutes maybe a day. Just think about like, where are you wanting to go with your life? Okay, if you want to get to this place or you want to have this car, how are you going to get there? Sitting here, you're not going to get it. What are you going to do to get it? Don't be scared to move forward. It's the progression. It's the mind is so strong. If you get that mindset in the right place, everybody is capable of doing anything they want to. And this is my belief. We can all do what we want to, but we've just got to push.
Got to push past the fear.
100%.
And sometimes it's tough.
Oh, don't get me wrong. People just say, oh, but you just make it look very easy what you've done. And I'm like, it's not easy. You don't know what goes on behind the doors.
Yes.
The late nights, the stress of like, okay, how am I going to move forward with this? Which avenue am I going to take? It's not, nothing comes easy.
No, it's not.
Nothing is easy. Otherwise, we'd all be where we want to be. Just like this.
Just like that, you'd be there. But it's not. But it's the discipline, the perseverance, and moving past the fear.
100%.
So what's next for you?
So next for me, I'm now launching the business here. It's in the first stages. So my website obviously is UK based. They are now beginning to update it.
Yeah.
So clients are very slowly rolling in now. I think once the advertising is out there, then we're picking up. But I have already picked up clients, which is amazing. And I'm not disheartened by any means, because I've only just recently started to like, okay, I'm ready now. I had to settle.
Yeah.
I was working a 9-to-5 job, and I was also working with my clients back in the UK in my own time. So I was juggling. It was hard work. I'm not going to sit there.
Yeah.
There was nights which I would be very less sleep and get to work, but I was like, my passion is my business. That is going to continue. My 9-to-5 job is also going to have the 100% that I'm going to give every day. It's not a case of I'm tired today, so I'm not. No, if I'm here in an office, they have got 110% with me. If I'm in my own business, 110%. This is how I was. It was tough. And I had my daughter come visit me for summer holidays.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided to move away from the 9-to-5. And as time went on, the weeks when we had summer vacation, we had my birthday. So we had a fantastic time with my family. And I thought to myself, I'm ready. I just woke up and I was like, I'm ready. And I spoke to both the children. I said, I'm ready to
move to the next level.
And they're like, okay, do it. And, my son's been helping me. I have my website team in the UK. They're now looking into switching it up. We're having many Zoom calls back and forward to change our website, speaking to a lot of people here. So, I think it's time now for SKS Fitness to come to Dubai 100% now. So
no, I agree.
I'm here now. I'm here to stay. So everybody watch out.
So you're looking to have premises here or?
Eventually, not yet. I'm not going to jump. I think this is always in my early days. It was a case of I want everything now. So whether that's an only child thing, as I've been told many times, you want everything done there and then. I do, but it's going to take time. I'm looking at everything. I have plans in place that I want to work towards, goals I want to work towards first before I look at premises. But that is going to come eventually.
Talking about goals, we obviously all have different ways of setting the different goals for ourselves. What works for you?
For me personally, it's very much, I take each day as it comes. I'll be
Okay.
honest with you. I have a 5-year plan in place. I have a 2-year plan and I have a 1-year plan. But for me, I reflect on each day. What's happened today? I assess each day and I take it from there. So even though my life could be running very fast, I mean, the last 2-3 weeks have just gone crazy, and I'm like, take a breather, and I've had to sit back and think, okay, everything's happened in divine timing for me. Things have dropped into place. I'm like, okay, you know, certain ideas have come in, and I'm like, this has got to be now. This is the time for me to take this forward. So I'm very much look at each day. I do sit back every evening and think, okay, every morning I will sit for 10 minutes and just think about the previous day, what happened there, how are we moving this forward. So I'm very much every day assess it. So this is what works for me. So I don't lose sight of what may need to change. What could we do differently today? So every day for me is progression. So
I like that. I do. And it's important for you to have something that works for you, because
100%.
there's so many different techniques and whatnot have you that exist out there about setting your goals and stuff. But I think in the midst of all of that, people forget, but what works for me and what is going to hold me accountable at the end of the day.
I think it's very much, you've really got to look back at yourself and assess yourself. What can you change? And for me personally, I will take 10, 20 minutes out, whether it's of an evening or the next morning, and just quiet time for me before anything. It's just my cup of tea on my balcony and just look at where I am and be grateful and just think, right, okay, so today, grateful to be here. I'm breathing, I'm healthy. Now, what are we going to do today that's going to make an impact? How is today going to be different from yesterday? So this is how I am. I think sometimes people think, is she crazy? No, and you know, I understand Dubai life is very hectic. It's a very fast-paced place. And for me, I just think when I see people, I mean, just driving here tonight and seeing people walking in their cars on the phones and just looking tired and stressed. I'm like, they just need to take 10 minutes out of their day, whether it's evening, morning, for themselves, and just think, because this is not helping, you know, it's not helping your mindset if you're not taking any time for yourself. Just self-care, self-love. It's very much about just give yourself some time to think about everything. And I think this is where people get exhausted. Health problems, you know, this is a big thing. And I always speak to my clients like, just relax, you know, take 10 minutes, breathing exercises. Pilates is something I love teaching and I do myself, you know. Sometimes if I wake up and I'm not feeling 100%, I'm like, okay, just 10, 20 minutes, let's just do some Pilates. And it helps. And it's like, now I'm ready to start the day. But it's trying to get to everybody and explain, look, 10 minutes out of your day is nothing for your, you know, your future life, for your mind, your mindset. It'll be so much calmer. And it's amazing that people that have, you know, taken it on board, and it's like it changes your mindset completely. Like, I just take 10 minutes out, you know. Even when I was working in the office, like my colleagues, they were stressing and I was like, just breathe, because they obviously didn't know what I did as well. They were like, oh my goodness. I was like, you know, let's just take 10 minutes. And they were like, this is amazing. How? And, you know, they put it into practice, and we did incorporate a little bit of like wellness as well. And they were like, this is great. You know, how did we not think of this? You don't. I guess I never thought of it. You know, years ago, I'd be working 9 to 7. I'd be rushing on the trains back home. It was just like a rat race, you know. And I'm not saying I'm just sat here calmly. I have stressful days. Where, you know, it's not all like, oh, this is amazing, life is wonderful. No, life is hard.
Life is tough.
But you've got to embrace it, and you've got to take those 10 minutes out and think about yourself and think what you can do differently.
Wow. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I hope that's helping.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Pip, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a
For
pleasure.
making time and just us chatting. It's really been great. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks.